pastoral element, as we were saying, what is your vision, or how do you envision your Black kings and queens? Because at the moment they're princesses and princes, but how do we navigate them into becoming Black kings and queens as a pastoral leader?
Wow, yeah, no, that like I said, that was a deep, when you started that question. I think we got cut off for a reason there, because that was a deep question. But I do, I think it's really important. I think even at this young, tender age that we have them at, I think it's important that they know that they're royal. They know they can go on to do. And I was saying this to Lola before you gentlemen joined, is that so they know what they're about at a very tender young age. For me, I'm putting my personal element into this. I learned that I am royal, or I am that queen. I'm the queen at a very tender age, and I think you just need those. You need those tight circles. You need that reading. You need to be them to be ready. And I think, especially because they're so young, you need that triangulation between the parents, yourself, and the child. Because I can't do it by myself. And it's important to have within that triangulation, even outside it, the community. Everyone needs to get involved. You know, that's again, not to be cliche, but that's saying it takes a village to raise a child, you know, so everyone has to get involved. And so long as you get that tender age for them to realize that they are royals and they can go on to be kings and queens, you'll be fine, they'll flourish. But it does take especially with our children, I say our children, it takes a lot of that sort of embedding all the time, I think, because they do go off on one. Sometimes they take the wrong path, or they follow the wrong crowd. So it's just keep embedding, keep pushing, keep striding with them, I think.
How do we deal with, let's say, the young people that are dealing with trauma, in terms of, I don't know, some of the kids that might be up in care and different other elements surrounding their teenage hood, or maybe younger. How do we, help them and shape their lives as well?
I think again, and that's quite a deep one, because trauma comes. I think we need to understand that trauma comes in all different shapes and sizes. Some children don't even realize. I mean, as an adult, sometimes you don't even realize you're going through trauma. So, let alone a child, So it's. I think when you first started your question, I thought I answered where I was going from. I think it's important to sort of embed that sort of rapport and relationship with them, to get to know, talk to them, communicate with them. Once a child or anyone see that you trust and you have their best interests at heart, I think they're okay. But going through trauma, like I said, I think that's a massive platform, because it depends on what trauma, what they've seen, what they've heard, what they've been associated with. So it's just about embedding, listening to what they have to say, they need that trust platform, I think, knowing that they can trust you, and again, knowing that they have you as their backbone, so they can push them forward, I think.
Yeah, I agree, because I work in a school, so we was definitely just talking about the next phase of what's going to be happening. So, the head was just definitely talking about understanding, being patient, being kind, because, she's also saying that if you think that, adults are having a hard time, how much do you think maybe teenagers or children are going through it, and they don't really articulate themselves as well as maybe adults. But again, adults ourselves, we don't really know how to articulate how we might be feeling. So
it is quite a hard one, because I've only started reading a little bit about trauma because of the COVID, because of the kids. So but I realized the platform is so big. It's such a big thing that I didn't realize. As I'm reading, I'm thinking, my goodness, is this me going through this as well? Have I suppressed my trauma? And if I don't, and I think you find a circle, you speak it out, but then there's some kids that don't want to speak it out. One, they need to find that trust with that person, or two, their parents or their carers have said to them, keep it just in this household. So it's hard. And then again, that trauma that they had when they were 5 or 6 can come out again when they're 16, and that's sometimes what we don't see. We just don't know what's happened. We usually think they're being really naughty, but actually it could be coming back from this. So for example, in the kids at the moment, they're going through this trauma, this with what's going on around the world, as well as this pandemic, that might not affect them now, but maybe in 5 years to come, it might affect them later on. So it could affect them in 5 days, it could affect them in 5 years, so we just don't know. But you are right, definitely being just listening, passionate, empathy, everything, because you just don't know what they've been going through, much as they put a smile on their face, you know.
I don't know if this question was asked before, but yeah, that's it. How do you think, that there is a lot of Black women or young women in the educational system in terms of like trying to like help younger women that may look like them? Because I feel like sometimes that maybe like there's not enough, let's say Black women or Black men that look like these young children to help them either relate or understand where they're coming from to a degree. Do you feel like there's a lot of younger Black people in the educational system?
So are you saying are you saying that is there enough Black women in the profession, or Black men, or
both, either way, but let's start off with Black women anyway.
Yeah, I think there are a few Black women in the profession in education, for sure. I do have a little issue with the lack of Black women at senior levels, i.e. head teacher, i.e. I do have a lot of problem with that Ofsted, so I have a lot of problem with that. There's not enough there. But my thing, and I was saying this, it's funny because I was talking this about my mum as well. When there was a couple of schools on the news, some schools in South London, and there's a primary school, a Black teacher, Black male teacher came on to talk, and I was taken aback. I thought, oh my goodness, he's a Black man, and he's a primary school teacher. That shocked me, because I still think, as much as there's many Black men out there that can come in and give so much to schools, there's not enough coming into the profession. So. And I'll be honest, being in the profession for a long time, the Black boys, even the non-Black boys, vein boys, they really love that. They love seeing the male Black men come in. They love it, even if it's a capacity of a support, supply, or whatever capacity. They actually relish that. They love that, and it's the same with Black girls. Sometimes some of the Black girls are not easy though. The Black young kids, the young girls are not that easy when it comes to Black women coming involved in there. I mean, I do get that look, or I get that who does she think she is type attitude. I do get that. So much as I look like them, they might see themselves in me or whatever. But I get that sort of attitude. But it's when you get to know them and you de-escalate that attitude, you realise actually they get what you're trying to do for them. You understand. But I think personally, if I wanted to use Sammy, I think it's the Black males that we need more in, especially from primary into secondary, and Black women. I mean, I don't know about terms of Black men in them, but I think there's more Black men in senior roles in terms of head teacher, headship. But things like even Ofsted, I've never seen a Black Ofsted inspector in my life. Like I don't think I've seen an Asian one, to be fair. I've never seen it, but I've never seen it, I've never seen it. Sorry, I missed you?
I said that's so true.
I haven't seen it. And as for the education minister, she's not Black, so there's that too. There's all these little elements. You know what? And it's funny because you start in these times when you're confined to in your space, you're isolated. You start to think about these things, thinking, hang on a second. So where's the Black inspectors, or where the Black primary school? You start thinking about these things, So yeah, no, just I'm going off on one. Sorry, I'm not.
Oh no,
I just. These two know already. I'll go off for one. I love it. But I was thinking, my God, I know Parliament is another story for another day. There's the odd dots in the Parliament. But you think about an education, but you think about education, you think, hang on a second. There's one Black head teacher. I'm sorry, I don't know his name, but he is in East London. I think he's in a school in. I think it's West Ham. Is it West Ham? Stratford School. I can't remember, but he's local. And I think, amazing. That's one. It's like one. And there's another one that was appointed, a Rastafarian, that was appointed a primary school teacher. That's two. How comes it's only on one hand you can count these ethnic teachers? Do you understand what I'm saying? But my goodness, it's interesting. But I would love to see that in the next So back to your original question about with kings and queens, show them that they can educate, they can push to the next level. Push. If you don't see it there, get there. Push yourself to that next level, I think. Yeah, that's, I think.
No.
Like that, because I can't remember where I saw it, where I think she was on the news, and then it's not really teaching, but in terms of like representation, she was like, I don't see the point in representation people who look like me because they may not think like me. And I sat there and I was like, you as a black woman, how can you say that you don't see the need for representation in a high place? And I sat there, I was like, you're mad. And she said it with her chest, and I was confused. I was like,
I saw that.
I can't remember her name. I think she blocked me actually because I don't like her. But like, I sat there and I was like, it is you, because I've seen her takes are like, we're not all a monolith, and that's true. But it's like she was basically saying, my mindset is not the same as another black woman, so why should the black woman be in power? I was like, that doesn't make sense, because like with every race and every walk of life, the more you see, the more you're gonna want to emulate. And I was like, even if you don't believe, like, have the same thought process, the fact that you've seen her as the head of something is like, I don't believe the same thing as her, but if she can be head, so can I. And I was like, how can you not see the actual correlation of having someone of your skin in a high? It's like, I was just so confused.
I struggled. I think I know exactly what you're talking about. I struggled with that. I struggled with what she was saying. I had to watch the link a couple of times, and I think I need to go back to it before I go to bed. I need to struggle because I struggled with what she was saying. I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate what she's saying, that, you know, that just because she's a black girl. Because I had, to be fair, when I was at a school in Essex, I did have that issue. The demographic was mainly white children.
Yeah.
Nice kids. I had no issue. Whatever. I didn't care. I just wanted to pass and get through the next year, really. But there was a couple of black children there, and a lot of the teachers will push these black children onto me.
Yeah.
Right. And I said, well, okay, fine. And they'll say, you know, and this is another issue for another theme of this, but it's like, he will relate to you. No, I don't know. You know, he might not relate. Yes, he might. The only thing he's relate to me is about he's a 14-year-old boy. He's a black boy. Yeah, but that's it, really. I'm just, you know, and I didn't like that comment, and I got it when I went to my new school, my other school now. But I didn't really like that comment. But I don't agree with what she was saying, this lady, because I think when you do see, I mean, Diane Arbor, for example, who is in the Parliament, she is so old school, so hilarious. I don't see myself in her, but it's nice to have her there. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's quite nice.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see her. I mean, you know, it's just nice to say, actually, you know what, you're doing it for us, Diane, for black women. I get that. Okay, but it's nice to have that. I mean, I totally disagree with what she's saying. I think in Parliament especially, I think Parliament should represent society. And at the moment, as you know, it doesn't represent society at all. So we do struggle. You know, if we don't have people like Diane Arbor or David Lammy, who's actually fighting the cause up there in Parliament? Who's doing it? You know, they won't let me in, so who's doing it? You know, you know what I mean? So who's, you know? So that's, I agree with you. I didn't get that part. I'm still struggling with what she's trying to say. I think I get what she wants to say, but it's just not embedded in. I can't feel it at the moment. I'm struggling with that comment. I really am.
I think I agree with you. I think I see the premise of it, but I think at the climate of what's going on, I don't think it's the right time to try and say such statements.
I think she was on as more of an instigator though, because they knew for a fact that her thoughts were a bit more leaning towards, because she's conservative and she's allowed to be.
Yeah.
But because they knew that her thoughts were more on the right side, they were like, we can get her, she's black, and if she's saying it, then it's fine, because like, there's your black voice.
I agree, because because on the Twitter feed, I always read. I see the statement. I like to read to see what other people are saying, and a lot of the feedback the accolades that she was getting, the claps that she was getting, were of the white counterpart. You know, and a lot of the black folk was like, "Are you an idiot?" And someone called her a prat on there as well. You know, so I like to understand what people are thinking when they speak. I just like to understand it, because I like to process and take my time and say, oh, I get what he's trying to say. I get but I don't understand that. Especially, you're right. I think you're right. Something you said in this climate at the moment, you're not supposed to be this token. What are you talking about? That's not what we want to hear right now. You know. And she was very blunt with it. She was like, what does it matter? What do you mean? Hello? Is it not? You know, Black Lives Matter? No, just hello. You know. I don't know.
You know what it is, when it comes down to it, and it really matters, and and things really happen, you're gonna look at these same people that are going to come back to the, you know, Black Lives Matter community or the black community and say, I'm one of you. But it's just like, people will remember this, you know what I'm trying to say. And I think in the climate right now, some black people are not too forgiving right now, right? So everyone needs to pick their words wisely and carefully and respectfully instead of just talking loosely. Because I am seeing a lot of a lot of MPs as well. I think I saw one MP today, I forgot his name, saying that the Black Lives Matter movement is like the Taliban, terrorism or something.
Nigel Farage, I think it was Nigel Farage who said it, because of course.
How have we got here? Like, it's like, don't no one see what's going on? Like, don't no one really care? So I just think that when we talk about racism in this country and everyone thinks that there isn't racism, it's like there's so many like quotes, so many videos that is just showing people of this country that there's racism here. But until you lot actually want to have the conversation about it, then we can move. But until then, you're going to get a lot of angry black people saying the same thing over and over again until something really bad happens, really. You know what I'm trying to
I find that here, though, I think, because I will say it's like England are the great gaslighters, because they will forever never admit to anything they've done, and they'll pass it off as saying it was history, but then they'll in that same breath they will then refer to their history about how great things are. So it's like you can't refer to the history but then tell us to forget the history. It's like it doesn't make any sense in the slightest. It's like, but that's what they do, because a lot of the like when it comes to history in terms of trying to acknowledge the racist past, the racism that still occurs, it's like they don't want to admit it. And so if they don't want to admit it, they're not even going to attempt to listen to any kind of like rhetoric or anything. So anything to do with Black Lives is like, if you're saying Black Lives Matter, you automatically saying that everything that happened in this country is a lie, or that you hate white people. It's like, that's not what we're saying, but you're choosing to say it anyway. So it's like, but like, I think basically what Samuel was saying, you can almost relate it to like an addict. They always say the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem. England, if all they did was just admit what happened, they would start, but they're not going to do that. So
they're not going to do that. It's not going. Yeah. They're not going to do it. You've got the statues which are getting pulled down. What I was thinking about, the one that happened in Bristol, I can't remember the surname. The guy, he was a slave trader statue, and I thought to myself, hang on a minute, who thought that was a good idea to put a statue of a slave trader in a? I just, you know, these things. This is what I'm saying. When you're self-isolated, you start thinking, who thought it was the good idea to put a slave as a statue in Bristol, where the ships came, the ships came for the slaves. Who thought that was a good idea and thought that's going to stay there for life? It doesn't make any sense. I just don't get it.
I think they said it was like because who was it who said it? I think it was Farage again. He was a philanthropist, so he donated money. He's got, I think, streets and museums and schools named after him, so he donated money, so it was only right to more or less give him a statue. And I was like, he did well in like the African trade, whatever, back in there. I was like, yeah, he's a slave trader. That's where the money came from.
Trader. Exactly.
I can't remember. It was a perfect video. It was like, how can you want us to move on from these situations if you keep putting the epitome of what happened in our faces? You've got a statue of a slave trader, and you just want us to forget slavery, but the slave trader is right in front of our face. So it's like, you're not helping.
You're not, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Now, one thing I was just going to mention, because that was such a meaningful segment of the show, is just moving on to that. Obviously, we're talking about the main what's it called? Catalyst, that's the word. See what I'm saying? I'm uneducated. What's going on?
Not at all. It's nervousness because the superstar's here, isn't it?
No, I don't like you being here and whatnot. But anyway.
It's all right, it's okay.
Just before we kind of like come to like the end of the show, and there's things that we have touched on a few times. I mean, George Floyd being one of the catalysts as to why we have these peaceful protests. I want to put out there peaceful protest is what we have. You know, I've spoken to a few times regarding the protest itself, and, you know, and going to the next stage. My thing is always going to the next stage. What's next, as in to say, what is the end? I mean, we always say, what is the end? What's the objective? What's your main thing? What's your main, what do you call it? End goal and things like that. So just, you know, touching up on, you know, George Floyd, what do you, you know, think is the next step for us to take in terms of the protest that's going on at this current moment?
Is that to me? Yeah.
Of course it's to you.
Just checking. I don't want to, you know.
You're the superstar. You're the superstar. So.
Oh yeah. Sorry. You know, every year a superstar needs about 30 seconds thinking time. You know. So right. So this situation with George Floyd, RIP, and I'm in a mixed emotion. I'm in a mixed bag at the moment. The amount of I've got heartbreak, I've got sorrow, I've got hurt, it's heavy. It does touch me. Even apologies if I do well up, you know. And then I've got this. Thank you. We're doing something. Something's happening. It's live. We're getting peaceful protests, and it's not just in the US. It's in the UK. It's in Denmark. It's in all, and that's amazing. And I think to myself, this is. And I hate that because they'll say this is great, you know, because we had to lose someone, or it had to be filmed for it to. So I hate my emotions are in this bag is so mixed up at the moment. I just thought about when this was happening. I also went back, you know, Stephen Lawrence, RIP, 27 years ago, where there were protests too. But I look at the comparison with those protests. Where there were peaceful ones, but then they were always engulfed by the racists that came into it, but it wasn't to this large scale. This made, like I said, it's worldwide. These protests, which is again amazing, but again it hurts me. So it has to be amazing because we have to lose someone for it. It does hurt. Where do we go forward? I think exactly what Sammy said before. We were talking before. It's about having these platforms to talk. When I mean an Eventbrite, there are so many events, spaces like this to talk about. I think we need to talk and get it out there, do these peaceful protests. Amazing people appearing on Good Morning Britain and the news. It's absolute. We're coming out of the say woodworks. We're coming out and we're going onto the main platform for everyone to hear our story. And I think that's important. And I think it has to happen regularly. It has to happen, like I said, with the talking with the children, to embed information to them. I think it has to happen regularly. I think it's not just now or for the moment. I think we have to keep going. So this month, next month, keep going. Because what happens is we have our protests sometimes and it calms down. Nothing happens again, you know? So we need to keep going. That's what I think. It has to be repetitive, I think. And often, repetitive. I think so.
No, I completely agree with what you're saying and everything like that. The mixed emotions, same as and whatnot. I mean, it always takes the loss of one to kind of gain something, and that's what it seems to be the narrative, which is a negative narrative to have. I mean, why can't we just go forward and actually propel forward and say, yeah, this is what we're going to do and whatnot? I mean, one thing you said there is education. I mean, the great Nelson Mandela said it himself, the greatest weapon formed is education. Do you know what I mean? No one can you can't trespass against education, because an educated mind is, to be fair, in one thing that you did mention, a black educated mind is a very scary mind to the outside world, which is very, very scary. And one thing I will say, I'll take the opportunity just to say congratulations on your newfound, position in university. So shush, be quiet. So well done. Educate yourself further. And
thank you.
When we say education never stops until you drop, or education never actually stops.
Keep learning, keep striving.
Yeah, always keep striving. Just to kind of like end on
already
that kind of notion. I know we've eaten a lot of your time, isn't it?
This is not an hour, is it? This is an hour.
We've eaten a lot of your time.
It's like past an hour. I'm sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I could go until 6. This is great.
But no, we'll do that in the Eventbrite moments. We'll do that. No, but one thing we'll just say to kind of wrap up. As a strong, super strong Black woman that obviously we've been presented here today. We wanted to just hear, like, what's your lasting message just for now? It doesn't mean it's your lasting message for life. It means what's your lasting message that you want to kind of share with us, with our princes, our princesses, our kings and our queens. What do you want to kind of share from just the message that you've given us today? Because you've given us an awful lot, but from your past to your present now, and obviously looking somewhat into the future, what kind of message do you want to send out to our listeners and followers and things like that?
What, so I have a few words, or can I do sentences? How do you want this?
You can
How do you want this?
As you please.
You can do, like, it's up to you how you want to deliver it. You don't have to ask.
Okay. Well, I just, you know, I don't want to be too. I really feel. Don't be afraid to just keep going. Don't be afraid to. Don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid to keep going. Associate yourselves with a good circle. I think one of the reasons why I'm able to push myself and thank you for that, be able to go to my next find and go into university again and do, it's because I have a good circle. I come to that person and say, this is what I want to do, and they push me and say, yeah, go for it. Get yourself in good circles, good mindset, have people with good mindset, strong mindset. Another thing, mind you, it's been a long time, but honestly, read, get yourself prepared, keep reading, keep striding, keep educating yourself. That's really important. The more you read, it's true, they do fear, and I trust me when I say they do fear those who are educated, especially the BAME, I'll be politically correct here, the BAME who are interested. So make sure you keep reading, you keep preparing yourself. You're going to get knockbacks. I'm not going to lie to you. There are knockbacks in life. You know, I've had a few. That could be another show when you're ready. So I can talk to you about those knockbacks in life. But I've had a few knockbacks. But you have to, again, be around the positive circles. What's that on my screen? Oh right. Okay, sorry. What's up there now? But yeah, no. Sorry, people. Yeah, just keep going. Good circles. Never give up. Keep reading. Keep being strong. There you go.
Keep reading Natives by Carla.
Oh yeah, but do you want me to talk about that as well? Or is there time?
I'm just saying it. We're fine.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that book. Please read Natives. Get Natives. Audio, PDF. Get Natives. Such an amazing book. If you're past the other side of 26, you'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. I've got it here somewhere. I don't know where it. Oh, it's the bedside reading. Fantastic book.
Hey Niv, you know that you can stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can stop recording.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. Just wanted to say, you know, we've just seen you out. That was a fantastic, amazing interview. It was more like a discussion, more like just hearing about, you know, SJ herself. So we just wanted to just say, you know, round of applause and thank you for coming on our show.
Thanks for having me. Let me know what the next one is.
There you go.